I was listening to another David Data 1 hour clipping of a workshop, and he was saying, he started with something that I love, which was that any and all spiritual practices that try to teach you how to build a future self that will be whatever, happy, enlightened, more successful, more loving, are fundamentally wrong, because you cannot build up to any of this. You can only sense into it. It always is there. Like at some point you get to, if you do a spiritual practice, all good spiritual practice or real spiritual practices are trying to help you remember the love that is everything. Remember the oneness that you can sense into at all time. Remember your presence and awareness. It's a remembering of something that is timeless and always there. It's never a building a thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to build towards being a spiritual person in 3 years that is so spiritual that he's enlightened. That is never the fucking way. There's nothing for you to build. It's already there. It's for you to remember. And it's good to have, there's all kinds of practices, and these practices can help us either counteract very bad habits that pull us away from that sensing, or that help us remember quicker, sense into it.
Excess,
right?
Yeah.
But there's no, we have like a unique spiritual meditation technique. And if you practice this for 10 years, then you're going to reach the black level of enlightenment. That's all bullshit. Because then if you build it, you can also lose it, but you can't lose these things. Like love, awareness, consciousness. These things are omnipresent if we tune into them. And so I love that thought because it is so true in so many ways. And it reminded me of how powerful and potent remembering and reminding is, but in the right context. We all know everything already there is to know. We all know it, right? We know most of the shit that we should know. It's not rocket science. Almost every human knows things that if they did them, their lives would improve. They would be happier. And they're not doing them. So it's not about knowing more things that are the category of if you did them, you'd be really great. It's about finding better ways to remember those things, more encouraging ways to practice those things until those things become part of your life. The reason I remembered this point was that I had a good friend of ours sent me a video message yesterday and saying, dude, I just had a sales call with the lead from you. I promoted him a little bit. So I got, 10 people to reach out to me and ask for an introduction to him. So I, sent him all these introductions, and he talks to one of these people, and then he sends me a video message and he goes, Stelly, I just talked to so-and-so. Thank you again for connecting me. Man, I feel like, I'm not sure if I feel like I did a good job explaining my value proposition and what I do and why I do it the way I do it. But I feel like I probably could do better. I really want to close her. I want to close this deal. And she was sort of skeptical at the end and said she needs more time to think about it. And she's just sounded very non-committal. And I don't know, dude, I'm like, I think it'd be really awesome if you could take some time and I show you what my pitch is and how I talked to her and what I said and what she said. And maybe I'm sure you'll have some advice and some feedback on how I can do better. Less remembering Stelly would have called him and given him a sales workshop. I would have asked him a couple of questions. How did you do this? How did you do that? And then I would find something quickly that's wrong. And I would give him a whole workshop on how to fix it. But yesterday, Stelly thought, wait a second. The kind of product that he's pitching or service is really not for everybody. You really need to be the perfect person at the perfect timing. It really needs to click. And I know him. He's not the world's best salesperson, but he's incredibly knowledgeable. He's incredibly enthusiastic, and he has a huge heart. He's so well-meaning. He really cares. That's all you need in the world. Like, he has everything he needs. If he talks to you with all his passion, all his honesty, all his love, and all his expertise, and you don't want to do it, it's probably not for you, or not now. Right? It's probably not the right time. There's no fucking ninja hacks that can he learn to be a couple % better at it? Probably. But is that the point of it right now? Probably not. And so I sent him a voice message and I said, dude, you already know all this, but I'll remind you. Number one, you're amazing. And what you do, the work you do with people is incredible. And it's easy to forget in the early days. But let me tell you, I know amazing and you are amazing. Number two, even the best salesperson on earth will lose most deals, like will not close every deal. I'm Steli fucking FD. I'm fucking an authority of sales on global scale. People like fucking write me emails every day to learn about sales. People watch thousands of hours of videos of me teaching them sales every fucking day, right? Every fucking day. And if I talk to 10 people and pitch them what you are doing, I would not close most of them. I would like lose 6, 7 out of 10. So it doesn't matter what your pitch is. You will lose most people you talk to about this. Just remember that. Then remember that this person, you're talking to them for the very first time. I think what you're doing is only going to work to people that are already convinced by the time they find you. And then they're just so happy that they found you and that you will guide them through this. When somebody's at the very beginning of starting to research this topic and is unsure, you're not going to talk to them for 35 minutes and then they'll gonna like commit to something as big as this. So ask yourself, do you really want to convince her? Is it really what you need? And if you do, maybe, you give her some time. Maybe you come up with he has a whole like 12-month program. I'm like, maybe you give her like a 3-month option to pilot this and then decide if she wants to continue. There's many solutions. You have to think about this and decide what is good for you and what you really want to do. And if after all this, if you're like, let's talk sales tactics and presentation techniques, dude, let's talk this weekend. I'm always happy to chat with you. Just let me know when and we'll chat. And I send him this voice message. And a couple of hours later, he responds and goes, dude, I fucking love you. You would think that I know all this, which I also did, but fuck did it feel good to hear all of it. Because after my call with her, I had forgotten everything. I was so in doubt. I was so in fear. I'd forgotten everything. And hearing your voice makes me remember everything. And I went, wait a second. He's right. I'm dope. And by the way, I talked to her and I think she's a great person, but I don't think she's ready. So what am I trying to close here? And I decided I'm not even going to take her. Even if she responds and says yes, I'm going to let her do more research, get more sure. Like, it was clear from the get-go that this person is not ready yet. And here I am trying to make something happen that isn't good.
Yeah.
And he's like, fuck the sales training. I don't need the sales training. I got everything I needed. And I thought, isn't this beautiful? Right? This is it. We all need reminders all the time. I had a very similar situation, very different, but similar, with one of my brothers, where he was describing to me a difficult decision he was trying to make. And when I listened to it the first time, I was in my fear state. I was already in a bit of a grumpy state. And when I heard it, it put me instantly in I'm afraid my brother will make a mistake. Because the way he was describing the risks, the rewards, I didn't even pay attention to. Hey, if this deal works out, here's the 5 benefits of it. I did not even listen to that. I was like, yeah, whatever. And then we said, well, and I think the risk are these 2 things. I went, no. There's 20 risks, right? And he's trying to just like glance over them. And so I sent my brother a voice message and I give him with love. I really focus on the negatives and go, hey, dude, I love you. I heard your message. I think you also need to consider this. You need to consider this. Here are some other, I think, important truths. Here are some other really difficult questions. I really think you should ponder all of these things, right? And like between the lines, what I was telling him is don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. And I sent that to him. And then, I do a bunch of stuff. I do my yoga. I do my meditation. I'm now out of my fear state. Like now I remember again to trust. I remember again how dope my brother is, how dope I am, how dope the world is. And I go, there's one more important thing that I forgot. Like everything I told him came out of a place of fear. And I'm like, let me actually send a quick reminder now that I'm in a different state. And I sent him another voice message and I said, and brother, I thought about this some more. The most important thing that I want you to know is you're dope. And no matter what you decide, it's going to be okay. And even if you were to make a mistake, you'll fix it. You're strong. You've overcome so many things in life. It doesn't matter. This is not that big of a deal. You'll figure it out. And I had forgotten that for a moment and remembered it. So I came back to remind you of it as well. And then he sent me a voice message much later, a response much later saying, I love you. I really appreciated your first message, but I really needed to hear the second one. I'm like, we all need to be reminded of these things. We all just need to remember to connect again with our own power, our source, our love, with the world, with the simple truths, the timeless truths, the things that always make us go, oh yeah, I always knew this. How did I forget this? That's all it is. Like we all need a little bit of encouragement and a reminder of how great we are and how things will work out. Most of the times we can handle it. It'll work itself out. We're much stronger, more capable than we give ourselves credit for way too often. And that fear and lack of belief is what causing a lot of pain and stress. And it takes just a little bit of reminding and remembering and a little bit of encouragement. And all of a sudden, you're back in a state where you can make great decisions and you're really resourceful. Just a little bit of remembering.